The Dwyer Group is a holding company of 14 service-based franchises that provide high-quality residential and commercial services worldwide. They're also an active member in the International Franchise Association, where their founder, Don Dwyer, started VetFran, the Veterans Transition Franchise Initiative. Joining us today to talk about VetFran and the incentives this program offers veterans is Mary Kennedy Thompson, Chief Operating Officer of the Dwyer Group, and also served 8 years in the United States Marine Corps. Thanks for joining us here on Hiring America.
Thank you.
Tell us more about your service and why you decided to join that branch of the military.
I believe that it's very important to want to be on the best team possible, and I've always thought that the Marine Corps was the best of the best. And as an Army brat, I thought the world of people who served and had a heart for service, and I found the Marines that I ran into, they were some of the strongest and the best and the fastest and the smartest, and I wanted to be part of that.
What did you do in the Marine Corps?
I was a logistics officer, so I was a generalist, and really my job was to take people and supplies and things from here and to bring them over here.
What would you say was the most interesting part of your job?
It's always the people. It's something else when you work with a group of people that have a common mission and a common belief and have a heart for service and want to serve their country. And I loved the people that I got to serve with.
You shared an interesting story about something that your superior said to you when you were leaving. Tell us.
So when I put in my papers to resign, my commanding officer called me in and he said, you know, if you resign, you're giving up being a general. And I said, well, sir, the way I look at it is if I don't resign, I'm giving up being the president of a corporation. And when we started our first franchise and we incorporated, I was the president of the company. And at the time, it wasn't worth anything because I hadn't built it yet. But I remember sending him a copy of the paperwork and said, see, sir, I finally made it. I'm a president of a corporation.
You made it sound so easy. You separate and you become a franchise owner. Was it as easy as it sounds?
No. There was nothing easy about it. I had never interviewed for a job. I had never had my own health insurance. I had never lived off base. And understanding I had this great support network in the Marine Corps, and I was leaving everything I knew. And I tell people I used to jump out of airplanes, and it was scarier the day I left the Marine Corps than it was the first time I jumped out of an airplane. And then when I decided I wanted to be a business owner, I knew I couldn't do it by myself. Franchising was the perfect thing for me because franchising is about systems. It's about how you do something in a way that you can repeat the success. And I grew up being a systems girl, and I think most people who are in the military, we believe in systems. And so I don't think I could have done it without the support of a franchise. I'm very biased about it. I think franchising is the great American dream. But it took this girl who was a Marine and helped me become a true businesswoman.
So how did you find your first franchise?
My husband came home one day from a chamber mixer, and he had a little flyer from a company called Cookies by Design, and I looked at it and I thought, you know, I can sell cookies, this makes sense, I get this, but I don't know how I would do it. And I turned to the last page, and there were 3 magical words on the last page. It said, for franchising information.
How did that first opportunity turn into what you're doing today?
I was a multi-unit franchisee, so I opened 3 locations and was one of their largest franchisees. And our whole plan was buy them, build them, sell them. And I went to my franchisor after we'd had them for a number of years and said, you know, I think we're ready to sell, we're uniquely positioned. And the franchisor said, well, if you're going to sell, would you come work for us? And I had never considered that. And I did every job in that company until I was president of that company. And then a number of years later, the Dwyer Group, whose company that I belong to now, they asked me if I would come run their largest company, which is Mr. Reuter Plumbing. And I knew cookies, I certainly didn't know plumbing. And I remember talking to Mike Bidwell, our CEO, and I said, I don't know why you're interested in me. And he said, you know, business is business is business. And you know this art and the science of business.
And you're also now a licensed plumber too?
I am. I served as the president of Mr. Reuter for 9 years, and I really believed that one of the ways I could show my franchisees that I was all in, because I always insisted they be all in, was to get my plumbing license. And it was hard. It took me 4 years, it took a lot of study. The average plumber takes about 4 years to get their license, and only 1.5% of all plumbers in the United States are women. So it was a really unique and interesting time. I learned a lot, and I came to really respect our technicians and our franchisees for what they were doing.